I'm excited to be here this afternoon and to do this interview with a dear friend, Gary Jenkins. We were just teasing before I turned the camera on that he too, like me, prefers being on this side of the camera. But it's my honor to be here and want to you have a unique story, which your story is your life. And I think that is what people would love to hear, because I dare say that at least here in San Angelo, if not all of West Texas, and then if I did the whole state of Texas, there either isn't any or very, very few people that have had the honor of being Secret Service to a president. And so that I don't think a lot of people know that about you. And so let's back up a little bit. You apparently went into the service at some point. Kind of give us the background.
Well, the background is real simple. I joined the Marine Corps at 18 years old. By the time I had my 19th birthday, I had already been in Vietnam a year. I was a seasoned Marine Corps Scout sniper. And that was a very turbulent time in my life. I was just a young kid and I'm taking life and don't even understand what life is. But I was serving my country. I was doing what all Marines do. We charge, we attack, we defend, we protect. And I had a great career in the Marine Corps. I served in the Marine Corps 10 years. I enlisted in San Diego, California. They call us Hollywood Marines.
Woo.
And I went straight from San Diego to Barstow, California. I was in the Marine Band for about 3 months. I thought I had escaped because one of my other things is I like music. I play drums. So I played drums in the Marine Corps for 3 months. And they found out that I shot the second highest score out of all the Marines at Camp Pendleton.
Whoa.
At the time that I was there. So, needless to say, the powers that be said, you're going straight to Vietnam. So I went to Vietnam.
Wow.
And that was at a time when America was still going through the race riots and the Black Panthers and the...
Time frame, what years? What years?
We're talking 69, 70. Yep. I went to Vietnam in 1970. And at that time, there was a lot of friction between the races in the country. And so there were a lot of African Americans that were opposed to the Vietnam War. There were some who really just had negative things to say about all of us who did go. But I didn't pay attention to that. I just went on and did what I had to do. And I left Vietnam a year later in 1971, and I went to Washington, D.C., and while I was at the Marine Corps Institute in Washington, D.C., somebody again saw my record, but from both Camp Pendleton and now from Vietnam, and they said, this guy is an excellent sharpshooter. He's an expert rifleman, and we have an opening for somebody with his skill set. So, unbeknownst to me, I was under an investigation, a background investigation, and I'm walking from the Marine Barracks in Washington, D.C. to McDonald's on Pennsylvania Avenue. And there's something about being in war, you have this sixth sense. You can tell when someone's watching you. And I felt this person watching and following me. And so I ducked into an alley, and the person came past me. And as they came past me, I just did what they call a neck hook. I just hooked him on his neck and swept him on his feet, and I knocked him straight out on the ground. And he had a trench coat on, and he pulls out his ID, he says, hold it, Secret Service. I'm like, Secret Service? What the heck? I just, I said, I'm sorry. I thought you were somebody following me to mug me. I didn't know who you were. He said, well, after he calmed down, he said, well, that's one of the reasons we're doing a background check on you. Background check for what?
Oh my!
Background check.
Yeah.
I don't want to join the Marine Corps. So the guy says, you're going to be getting, you're going to get an email, was it email or letter or something from the United States Secret Service or from the White House. very soon. I said, okay. So anyway, before I even got the letter, my commanding officer tells me that he needs to see me in his office right away. This is about a week or two after the incident. I go to his office and he says, there's him, there's two other gentlemen who I didn't know. I found out later they were Secret Service agents. And my commanding officer says to me, how would you like to work for the President of the United States? And I kind of was puzzled. I go, sir, don't we already work? Don't we already work for the President? And he says, yeah, but we mean work directly for the President. I said, sure, cool, I'm in. What do I need to do? And then that the rest was history. And I was sent to Quantico for further training. And then we were trained in executive protection service, J-turns, all how to maneuver vehicles. Don't try that at home now, though. But again, marksmanship, physical self-defense, martial arts, all of that. Went through all that stuff. And finally, I was sent to the White House. And what I found out, Kat, was the person who signed the letter appointing me to the White House was, remember Admiral Poindexter in the Iran-Contra scandal? He's the one that signed the letter. So anyway, Alexander Haig was the White House Chief of Staff at that time. And of course I had to go and meet him. Then the head of the Secret Service detail was there. And I was assigned as a Marine. I was still in the Marine Corps, but I was detached from the Marine Corps and assigned to the presidential detail at Camp David in the White House. So I wasn't officially a Secret Service agent, but I was on that detail. So I got to travel with the president. He had two places. One was in Key Biscayne, Florida. The other one was in San Clemente, California.
And the president, for those that don't know, the time frame was?
President Richard Milhouse Nixon.
Which adds even more uniqueness to the story here.
Well, it's a uniqueness because he was a Republican president. He wasn't very popular among African Americans at that time. But for some reason, and he had the final say, by the way, on who is appointed to his detail. All presidents have that. So one day, I was assigned to go to Camp David during the Thanksgiving holiday. This is 1972. And I'm upset because I was supposed to be off. I was going to hang out with my family. And of course, I couldn't tell them where I was going back then.
Yeah,
we didn't have Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and all the social media that we have today. And of course, we couldn't divulge our movements. That was considered classified top secret. So long before President Barack Obama and Condoleezza Rice and Colin Powell and all the guys that we know in recent history that had prominent positions in federal service, we were there. I was one of the first black or African American members of the president's personal team, and so we made history. We were there before it was popular.
Before it was cool.
Before it was cool. See, now it's cool, you know. Everything's cool now. But back then, it wasn't cool in the minds of some people.
Right.
You still had opposition from some people who felt that it was a national security risk to give an African American high-powered weapons and assign him to the White House to guard a president who's not popular with the African American community.
Oh wow, that adds a whole nother layer. Wow.
It sure does. And so I almost did not get the job because of that. One person, can't recall who they were, they made the comment, well, your brother is in the Black Panthers. I said, yeah. He said, well, aren't you a Black Panthers sympathizer? I said, no. Well, how do you account for not being with your people? That's what the way they phrased it. And I said, well, let me explain this to you. I'm somewhat insulted that you question my integrity and my commitment to serving my country. If you look at my record, you'll see that I have an excellent service record in the Marine Corps. I went to Vietnam. I did my duty as a Marine Corps scout sniper in Vietnam. I took out a lot of our enemies, those that were designated as enemies. And then I came back to this country to pursue a higher education and to move on. But for you to question my loyalty to the United States of America, I find that repulsive. And my brother has a brain in his head and in his body. I have a brain in my head and in my body. He did what he wanted to do, and I did what I wanted to do. I caught a lot of flack from blacks in America who, once the word was out that I was serving in the Nixon administration, I caught a lot of flack for that. But I wear the wounds with pride. I wear them with gratitude. Because as you said already, Kat, there aren't too many people that can say they worked at the White House or they were on the president's personal security team. You know, I wasn't a janitor at the White House. I wasn't a butler, and those are honorable positions. But I was somebody who was assigned to protect the President of the United States, and if necessary, give my life to protect him.
Yes.
I took that with great honor. And to be questioned about it was extremely offensive to me. So with that said, the Chief of Staff, Alexander Haig, stated, I think we've heard enough. I think this man is committed to serving our country and serving this administration. So with those few words, I was accepted, and then I had a chance to sit down with President Nixon at Camp David for Thanksgiving in 1972. I'm sitting literally right beside him. And I wish we could have taken pictures back then, but...
Oh, true. Yeah.
But anyway, I like to imitate him because he had this kind of crusty voice. And he says to me, "Well, Jenkins, what do you think about being up here at the White House?" I said, "Mr. President, this is the coolest job I've ever had. And I'm happy to be here. But I got to ask you, how did I get here? You know, well, by golly, I want you to know that you know, your name came up, and we needed somebody with a special skill that could take out a would-be assailant. You know, and I heard some good things and saw your record, and by golly, I want you to know that I thought that was excellent. So I wanted you on my team." And I said,
Wow.
"But sir, you know, I'm honored, but you do know that there are many people that are opposed to my being in this kind of a position." And he says, "Well, it's all Henry Kissinger's fault. You know, that darn Kissinger, he told me that I need to get some African Americans on my staff in key positions, and he thought it would be good because maybe that would even make my numbers rise in the polls."
Interesting.
So I said, "Oh, so this is a political move, sir?" He goes, "No, if you weren't good, you wouldn't be here." I said, "Thank you, sir."
That's, yeah.
So a few times, most of the time you don't talk to the president.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this guy liked me. He would come over and talk to me. And he said to me, "Well, as you know, I'm going to seek re-election, and I'm going to have an inauguration. I want you to be there." You want me to be there, sir? I'm thinking maybe he wants me to be on duty,
Yeah.
you know, as part of his detail.
Uh-huh.
No, he wants me to come as a guest and sit at the table and have dinner.
Oh,
and I'm like, what the
wow.
heck? Him and Spiro Agnew.
Spiro, yeah.
Agnew. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Spiro was his vice president, and so he ran. Excuse me, I got allergies real bad. I'm all right. I have my COVID shot. I don't have COVID. Okay, but anyway, so I spent 2 years at Camp David. It's an assignment. It was, you know, and I enjoyed it. It was an honorable position to have. History was made. And I've gone on, I've gone to different schools and talked about what it was like in the White House in the particular era in American history. And people are pretty amazed when I tell them what it was like.
Yeah. When I was thinking about that driving over, because the world is very, very different, not even, of course, the racial thing, but I'm thinking about communicate, seeing as how I think that president had something to do about a little break-in and this, that, and another. It was a different world. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have all the social media. We didn't have all these other forms of communications that we have today. Thinking about your service then compared to now, which do you think would be more challenging?
Obviously, today would be.
Okay.
We didn't have the technology back then that we have today. It was in its infancy and experimental phase back then. The internet was in its infancy and experimental stage. In fact, the military was the only ones that were operating the internet back then.
Wow. Okay.
And then it was released to the public later on, which, as you know, grew into the disaster that we see today. However, the greatest challenge would be today, because of social media, because it's so easy to get a picture. It's so easy to record a person without their knowing it. We have all kind of spyware that is in existence today that didn't exist back then.
True.
And unfortunately, there are people who are in this world that want to do harm to you, and one of the ways they do that is if you're dumb enough to do something unfortunate, like sleeping with prostitutes, or having an affair with somebody else that you have no business doing it. If you do these things, of course it's going to get out. I think it's very challenging. For every electronic measure, electronic tool that we have in existence today, there is always a countermeasure. The countermeasures come after the tool has been invented.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, so keeping in mind, there will always be a lag where technology is trying to play catch up to cover up all of the electronic stuff that's being done. Now, having said that, while I was on the president's team, one of the things I was trained in was electronic surveillance. And of course, you go into a room, you have a device no bigger than a cell phone, and it can pick up radio frequencies, magnetic energy, anything that's being transmitted. Because before the president would have a conference with heads of state, whether it's at Camp David or at the White House, it's standard procedure to sweep the room to make sure there's no bugs planted there. Because you never know, so a staff member could be bribed or paid, and they could plant a bug there. And so it's standard procedure to make sure the rooms are electronically secure. So that's the biggest challenge today, because technology keeps changing and the catch-up takes a while.
Were you on his team during that investigation that was going on?
No, I stayed in Camp David from 1971 to 1973.
Okay.
Just shy of 2 years.
Okay.
I left, Watergate broke out in 1974. I left in 1973. So I'm sitting in Arizona watching TV, and I'm going, oh my gosh, Nixon is...
What happened to him?
I'm like, oh, Watergate, what? The Watergate break-in, are you kidding me? So, and to see him on the lawn of the White House with the helicopter and waving the peace sign, and he goes, I'm not a crook, that was one of the last phrases he made. This man was extremely intelligent. He was responsible for causing great relations between the United States and China. He helped to avert a war that most Americans never knew anything of, that was brewing, that was about to occur, the Cuban Missile Crisis. That was another issue years ago. That was during Kennedy's administration, but when Nixon was in place, there was a threat made against Fidel Castro, and again, we almost went to war over that. Very few people know about that.
Yeah.
But the Watergate era was a time of sadness for me because, I mean, I liked President Nixon. I admired him. And I didn't think that I was going to have that he would impact me the way he has. When he passed away, I was deeply saddened. Not only because I lost somebody who I got to know as a friend, but that was part of my history.
That's right.
And
a very unique history, because like you said, you were willing to lay your life down for that man.
well, you know, Jesus said, "What greater love hath no man than this, that a man will lay down his life for his friend."
Yeah.
Well, when you're on the president's detail, you may not necessarily be a friend, but you have taken an oath that if it became necessary, if I knew danger was present and the president standing there, I had to push him out of the way, and if it meant I got hit, so be it.
Right.
But he was a very special, unique person, and on a humorous side, you know, he could go. I mean, you heard of bipolar. He could go from one extreme to the other, from angry to extremely happy. And if he didn't like you or didn't like what you did, he would let you know. Remember when Ronald Ziegler was the press secretary? I don't know if you
I kind of remember the
All
name.
right, this may
That was kind of my era when I was not focused.
Okay.
Because I graduated high school in 74.
74.
Okay, so
Okay.
yeah. I'm just behind you, just a wee
You're just
bit.
a little bit behind.
Just a little bit.
Nixon had a press secretary by the name of Ronald Ziegler. Ziegler reportedly had scheduled a press conference and had not informed President Nixon that the conference was taking place. I think it was around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was at Camp David. Well, Nixon, when Ziegler told Nixon, they were walking outside, and as they were coming up near the conference center where they were going to hold a press conference, Nixon was so furious, he shoved Ronald on his shoulder, and he almost stumbled like that. And one of the reporters took a picture of it. Click, click, caught it just in time. And that was a big news story back in the day. So,
Life was simpler back then. shoving instead of this other
but
junk.
if Nixon liked you, you really had a good friend. And for some reason, unbeknownst to me, it had to be nobody but God. The president, God gave me favor with the president. And it seemed like he looked out for me while I was there. So when I left, guess what was said to me? You did an outstanding job. Pick any assignment you want.
Whoa.
And that's how I got into broadcasting to this day.
I was wondering your journey. So you picked what?
I wanted to be a television news journalist.
Okay.
And I wanted to also learn about shooting motion pictures. So the Marine Corps, detached now from the Secret Service detail, back to the Marine Corps, they send me to Hollywood.
Hollywood.
And I went to MGM Studios
Wow.
to learn how to shoot film. And I only stayed 1 week because MGM was shutting the studio down and building the casino out there in Vegas. And I was like, always happens to me. Anyway, but I was in that 1 week, I got a chance to learn a few things and meet some people. Met Bill Bixby, who played the Hulk, and I met some other folk. But when they shut down the movie studio, the Marine Corps sent me to Fort Benjamin Harrison, Indiana. And at that time, that was where a school called DINFOS, the Department of Defense Information System, was located, and they had everything there: television, radio. They taught the military how to produce TV shows. That's how I got to learn how to produce TV shows. So I stayed there, graduated from the Defense Information School. It's located in Fort Meade, Georgia now. Fort Meade, Maryland now. And but back then it was in Indianapolis. And so I went there, and my first assignment after completing school was going to Yuma, Arizona, and I went to head up the public affairs broadcast operation at the Marine Corps Air Station in Yuma. I stayed there for about 2 years, and I met a guy by the name of Lou Dobbs, who did Moneyline on CNN. Well, back then, he was working at this little dinky small station called KBLU-TV. Lou Dobbs became my mentor.
Nice.
And I ended up doing a 5-minute news segment every week on the evening news with Lou Dobbs. And that was
I did not know that.
Yeah, that was real cool.
I bet it was.
That was real cool.
You stay in touch with him today?
I tried, but I've lost contact with him. But anyway, I stayed in Yuma for about 2 years. Then I went to the American Forces Television Network in Okinawa, Japan. Hi, watashi wa genki desu ka? Konnichiwa. Anyway.
Wow.
So I stayed in Japan for a year. I worked, I did the evening news, 6 and 10 o'clock news as the anchor and reporter there. And then I came back to this country, and I can't remember whatever happened after that, but I got to work with the United States Information Agency in Washington, D.C. I think they call it the Broadcasting Board of Governors now. But back then it was called the USIA, the United States Information Agency. And I would film news segments. I did 3 of them once a month, and they would go to Zambia. And I was well known in Zambia. So anyway, nobody knows me here. I feel like Eddie Murphy. I want you to know, I'm going to Zambia to find my queen. Anyway, so I did that for several years. I worked at a couple radio stations, WTIC FM, the biggest FM station in Hartford, Connecticut. Worked at WKND as a news director, and then I got tired of radio. I wanted to get back into television, and so I got a job at WGGB Channel 40 in Springfield, Massachusetts. I was the morning anchorman, and I produced the news during ABC's Good Morning America. I did the local stuff. They used to call those the local cut-ins.
Yeah,
so
cut-ins,
And so I did that for 2 years, and then I went to Channel 8, WTNH Channel 8 in New Haven, Connecticut. Did the same thing there for another 3 years, but it was a bigger audience, better pay. And in that business, you have to move around to really get what you want. So I was the managing editor and producer of the morning news on Channel 8. And I did that, and while I was doing that, I opened up a limousine company. I started my own limousine and private security company.
So what time frame now are we in? What years
This
are
is
we looking at?
1985. Channel 8, I went to Channel 8 in 1983 to 1985.
Okay.
I only stayed there 2 years. And my company grew, so I had to make a decision, So that was my baby, I can't leave it. So I did that for 10 years. So now we go from 85 to 1995. And I got a big contract with Aetna Life and Casualty, and that was real cool, and some other companies. So the company grew from 0 to $1.5 million over a 10-year period. I sold the company and invested in a computer company, and then that was a waste of money. Crashed. I went into executive protection business for a while because I was looking in between trying to figure out what I want to do. So
and you had credentials for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was well qualified.
Yeah.
So there was an Indian tribe up in Connecticut that was trying to get federal recognition, and I went to work for them, protecting the chief of the tribe and a couple of the key people there. That's where I met Marcella.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
So
that's an important part of the story.
Very, very important part of the story, because from 1995 up until, well, 1990, no, I'm losing track of years.
Yeah.
Forgive me. But anyway, I was there for just a short period of time, not even, maybe a year. And so Marcella, my wife, was the office manager. So when I reported in for duty, I had to report to her. So I call her Mama Mini Boss. Anyway, I got to know her, we became friends. And then later on, we had threats, death threats in the office that were made against the chief and against his office manager, which was Marcella, and some other people. And the reason that happened, the Golden Hill Balgussit Indian tribe, and you can check this out on the internet, they filed several land claims against the cities of Bridgeport, Shelton, and I think there's another town, I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, well, when these land claims were filed, homeowners could not refi their homes, couldn't sell their homes until this whole battle was over with. So
wow.
They were furious. So somebody paid the telephone company workers to tap our lines in the office. And the way we knew that is because we ordered new phones. And the phones were put in, and then all of a sudden we're noticing that we're hearing clicks on the phone.
Uh-huh.
So all of a sudden, I said, well, let me just check the room. Let me just see. I'm going back to my Secret Service training. Let me just check the room for any magnetic energy or radio frequencies. And I'm scanning the room with my little device, and all of a sudden it lights up. Beep, beep. I get to a closet, and it lights up. And there were wiretaps on the lines in the closet. So I immediately go, everybody, shut up, don't talk. And I told the chief what was going on. And I was chief of security. So I told him that you really need to get people out of the office. So everybody dispersed to different areas. And the chief told me, well, take Marcella, that's my office manager. I want you to protect her. So I was like, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm like, yeah, baby, no problem. So that was how we met. I was her bodyguard.
Woo.
And so that's now you know, as Paul Harvey would say, and now you know the rest of the story.
Except
What?
how in the heck-a-doodle from there did you end up in San Angelo, Texas?
Okay, long story.
And ministry, too.
Long story. When you've had close encounters with death several times, it makes you think about how fragile life is. And I gave my life to the Lord originally in 1971, but I wasn't living nothing. But in 1976, I made a strong commitment to Christ. And all during that time on up to now, I was committed to the Lord, but I wasn't in ministry or anything. I didn't get into ministry until 1976. I think it was 76, yeah.
76? So just
1976. So from, I'm sorry, 1971 I got baptized.
okay.
But I didn't go into ministry till 1976.
Oh, okay. All right. That's when you got serious about.
I got serious
yeah,
about
okay.
really serving God.
Okay.
Well, anyway, after I left the Golden Hill Balgussit Indian tribe, I said I had enough of this. I don't want to do security ever again. I'm done. What am I going to do now? I went to work for UPS, FedEx. I took all kind of little jobs just to try to make some money. And eventually, I got a job working for the mayor of New Haven, John DeStefano Jr. I was the deputy public information officer, so I was very happy to get that job. I stayed on that job from 1993 to 1997. I'm trying to think what happened. I wanted to get back in federal service, so I went to work for the Homeland Security, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, working with FEMA. Now, what a lot of people don't know about Homeland Security is an interagency unit created after the 9/11 thing.
Right.
All right, well, you could be working in a disaster scene in one capacity, and then go to another disaster scene and be in a totally different capacity. Well, I liked FEMA because FEMA helped people recuperate from disasters, tornadoes, hurricanes, you name it. Mm-hmm. And so to me, it was like ministry. He's just helping the people out, you know. But at the same time, I was still building up my relationship with Christ. Well, God called me in 1976 to preach His gospel. I didn't. I was kind of running like Jonah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, I finally took heed, and I started preaching the gospel. I got ordained in Arizona as an elder in Yuma, Arizona. Then when I went to Okinawa, by the way, I wasn't a pastor, but I was a minister. And there was a Japanese guy. There was an engineer at FEN Channel 8 in Okinawa. And I would bring my Bible to work, and then lunchtime come, and I would read my Bible. I didn't know he was watching me and paying attention to me. So one day he comes over and he says, Jenkins-san, why you bring Bible? I go, well, I'm a new minister. I'm trying to learn the Word. I love the Lord. Jesus Christ is my Lord. And that's the first person I witnessed to was a Japanese guy.
Wow.
I didn't know that his whole family comes from a line of samurai.
Interesting.
And so I said, wow. His name was Iki Harrison. And Iki would tell me about some of the history of his family. And I would say, man, wow, that's so awesome. I always wanted to learn martial arts. And the stuff they teach you in the military, that's enough to get you killed. I really wanted to really practice and really get to know, some of the moves, And so Iki taught me. He said, you want to know mixed martial art? I go, yeah. He said, no, say hi. Yeah, say hi. I said, okay. So I had to go like this, hi. So I had to start to learn the custom. Mm-hmm. So anyway, he says, I tell you what, you teaching me Jesus, I teach you martial arts.
Oh, what a good trade.
I was like, yeah, man. So that's how I got into really mixed martial arts.
You preached your first sermon there.
I preached my first sermon and also got a sensei to teach me martial arts. Well, anyway, very painful starting off because I had to get in shape and stretch and do some things I never thought I could do before. Anyway, I stayed in Japan for a year, and it was time to come back here. So he gave me a ceremonial kimono down, and that was my gift. I miss him. I wonder how he's doing today. But anyway, that's history. That's my history.
Yeah. So how did you end up in San Angelo?
Oh, I didn't tell you that part.
Yeah.
Well.
And I guess you have Marcella with you now.
Now.
Yeah. After the Indians.
Yeah, after the Indians, Marcella's with me, because I'm going in and out of time here.
Yeah.
Well, Marcella came into my life in 1995. We got married in 1996, a year later. I wanted to build her a house. And I prayed to God. I said, God, if this is who you really want me to marry, as a sign, let me do something that everybody says I can't do. Sure enough, from the ground up, I built a house in New Haven, Connecticut.
Oh my!
God opened the door, made the way.
Wow!
Brand new house, beautiful little house. So we moved in and we stayed there, but I lost my job at I think with the city at that time, and so I was trying to find a job, couldn't find a job nowhere. Either I have no experience or I'm overqualified. I hate that phrase, overqualified. Yeah. Anyway, I got this job at the VA hospital in Connecticut.
Okay.
You know what that job was? It was serving as a housekeeper.
Ah, I've been down those roads. Okay.
I took a job as a housekeeper, cleaning the emergency room, the operating rooms, vomit,
Yeah.
blood, you name it, the most nastiest job you can have.
But oh, you're so close to God.
Oh,
During
you know
the-
what? I thanked God every day for that job.
Yep.
I did that job so well, they promoted me in 30 days to team leader. And so now I can tell the other guys how to go. But there were some of my friends, look, they turned their nose up at me. You got a doctorate degree and you're cleaning toilets? And I said, it's a job. I don't care. It's a steady paycheck, it's got good benefits, and now my foot is in the door with the federal government on a full-time basis, not part-time like before.
Yeah.
So I stayed at the VA hospital exactly 1 year. In March of 2014, I took that job. In March of 2015, I transferred, because the whole time I was at the VA hospital, see, with the federal government, if you're in a job for 1 year and you do good, you can request a transfer to any agency. Doesn't matter.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
not just within where you work. If I wanted to go to the FBI, Secret Service, or wherever, DEA, wherever, I could transfer and go there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how they work. So anyway, I applied for a full-time Homeland Security position, DEA, Border Patrol, all of those guys.
Anything.
Anything that would bring me back into law enforcement or something where I could use my skill. Well, nobody called. I'm totally getting frustrated, but I kept on working at the VA. Exactly, Kat, a year after I was at the VA, I got a phone call from a guy by the name of Robert Martinez at Goodfellow Air Force Base.
Wow.
He says, well, literally, it happened like that. He called, he said, congratulations. I go, I thought it was a telemarketer call. I'm like, congratulations, you won $10,000. You know, I thought it was,
Yeah.
really thought it was a telemarketer call. So I'm answering the phone, literally, my new job offer, I answer the phone like this. And he says, congratulations. I go, who is this? Well, you got it. Got what? I'm getting ready to hang up. Got what? You better tell me. That's the way I answered the phone.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Goodfellow Air Force Base. Public Affairs Office. You've been selected to be the manager of broadcast operations in the Public Affairs Office.
Wow.
I went from being a housekeeper to being the manager of the Public Affairs Broadcast Section.
I love it. But God.
Nobody but Jesus. Nobody but Jesus. But see, when you humble yourself,
Yes,
what do the
sir.
words say? God will exalt you.
Absolutely.
But if you exalt yourself, God
Yeah.
will abase you. He'll humble you down.
Uh-huh.
And so I didn't have a problem cleaning the toilet at the hospital. I didn't have a problem mopping the floor. But everybody turned their nose at me, up at me, because they thought, well, you've got a doctorate. Well, there are a whole lot of people with doctorate degrees and masters that are unemployed. Welcome to the real world.
Yeah.
So I was proud of that job. I was grateful for that job. And I told Marcella, I had her laughing. I said, Marcella, I praise God every time I go in there and clean the toilet. I go in there every time I mop a floor. I'm praising God and thanking Him. You see, Joseph was thrown in the dungeon before he got to the palace.
That's right. Uh-huh.
You can't have a palace experience until you have a dungeon
Uh-huh.
experience.
From the pit to the palace.
All right.
Yeah.
So God was checking me out to see would I get lifted up with pride and arrogance. So anyway, I come to Goodfellow. I stayed at Goodfellow for 4 years. Loved it. Great job. But I was getting sickly. I started realizing I had some health issues, and I said, well, it's been time to retire. So I tried to hang in there till my 66th birthday so I could get full Social
Sure.
Security. Because if you retire early, they penalize you. And I'm like, I paid all this money. I want all of mine. So anyway, I stayed until my 66th birthday. So in April 30th of 2019, which is almost 2 years, or it is 2 years, I retired. But before I retired, I was building up my next plan, and that was to start my own television network. So in August of 2018, a year before I retired, we went live.
I remember.
We had a ribbon cutting ceremony at the Chamber of Commerce, and it was just exciting. And to think that in San Angelo, we can create a Christian television network where we're broadcasting around the world 24 hours a day, and you can download our apps from the App Store or from Google Play. You can watch us on your smartphone, your tablet, your online on your computers, Roku and Fire TV. You can download our channel on your Roku app and watch us at home on Roku, or the same way with Fire TV. We're doing something that the big guys are doing. Disney, NBC, CBS, ABC, all of those guys, they're streaming. Well, I got in on the ground floor of streaming.
Yeah.
And
they're catching up to you.
But the beauty of it is, streaming doesn't care who you are. Once you're on the network, the streaming system, your imagery, your product looks just as good as the next guy.
Yeah.
So it gives you a level playing field. And so I wanted to do something to glorify God. So I took my broadcast career and I said, God, I want to do something with this. What can I do? And the Lord said, what's that in your hand, like Moses? In my hand? What are you talking about, God? You have a wealth of knowledge on television production and filming, motion picture production. Why don't you just use that? And then my wife, she's a guru in Microsoft. She's a guru with computers. So she taught me how to use video.
Oh, wonderful.
Marcella taught me how to use video on the internet.
Oh,
so
interesting.
I took TV experience and the internet information she gave me and combined it into what you see today.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of Gospel America and what God has done. I'm so grateful. I hate to use the word proud because God don't like a proud look, but we have our app, and then you punch on our app, and boom, here on my cell phone, and you can watch our programming, and so that's so cool to be able to see that. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this is our baby. This is what we created by the grace of God and the vision that. That's one of our shows, Real Talk with the Jenkins. You probably seen that.
Yes, I have.
So anyway, but this is what we created.
That's awesome.
And now we have pastors from all over the country broadcasting on our network. We're just like TBN.
Yep.
We're just like TBN. And we're based right here in San Angelo. You don't have to go to Chicago, New York, California to do something great. We can do something great right here.
That's right. Absolutely. So how do you like Texas?
Oh gosh, I got to tell you.
I guess your home. You originated. Where was home initially?
I was born in Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, okay.
I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri. My parents eventually, after I graduated, moved to Kansas City, Kansas. That caused a war. But anyway, and then after I joined the Marine Corps, I bounced around the world a couple of times. We moved to Connecticut. I moved to Connecticut. That's where I met Marcella.
Yeah.
Marcella's from Bridgeport, Connecticut originally. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. But we lived in Connecticut for 19 years. Let's see, 1977 I moved to Connecticut. And I left in 2015.
That's 30-something years.
Okay, so 30 years. But I mean, my house that I had just built for Marcella, I was in that house for 19 years.
Okay.
And then the rest of the time I was
elsewhere. Yeah.
So, but so we moved here from Connecticut.
It's a little bit warmer down here.
A lot warmer.
Yeah.
But it's not as sticky and humid as Connecticut.
True.
Connecticut can get very hot in the summertime, but I love Texas for several reasons. One, there are a lot of people here that love God. And I want to be in a community that loves God. I don't want to be in a godless community. I really don't. Number two, I love how Texas treats veterans. Texas is a veteran-supported state, if I've ever seen
Amen.
one.
Yes, sir.
I got the Purple Heart after I got wounded in Vietnam. I got hit by a grenade, and I got wounded in Vietnam, and I got the Purple Heart, and that's one of the reasons I have this heart condition, because I was exposed to Agent Orange.
Okay.
And that's a nasty little critter. It's a defoilant that gets rid of vegetation. Well, when you're young, it doesn't bother you that much, but it's residual in your body. And as you get older, it attacks your various parts of your body. In my particular case, it's the heart. So I got a 100% disability from the VA. I'm grateful for that. But the state of Texas gives veterans that are 100% disabled, you've got all kind of benefits. I mean, I built a brand new house just recently, no taxes.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
And the citizens passed that.
Yeah, and the citizens of Texas passed that.
Yeah.
So, thank you, citizens of Texas. But, you know, we served our country, and that's how they value us. Every state doesn't do that.
No.
So I'm grateful to be in, and I didn't know that when I came to Texas. I found that out after I came here. So it's not like, oh, let's go to Texas because I don't have to pay property taxes. No, I didn't know anything about that. But anyway, we can park at the airport free for 5 days. We get a handicap sticker you can put in your car, so you can sit parking legally in a handicap spot. It goes on and on. We have a great relationship between Goodfellow Air Force Base and the city of San Angelo.
Yes.
Great, wonderful relationship. And so I'm grateful to be in Texas.
Well, real quick, let's mention your church. You pastor here in San Angelo.
Yes.
Mention your church real quick.
Okay. I happen to be the presiding apostle of the Eagles Wings International Ministries, based here in San Angelo. This is the worship center, the Eagles Wings Worship Center at 718 West Avenue Y. We have 4 churches, I believe, under our leadership in other parts of the country. We have 2 churches in Gainesville, Florida, one in Henderson, North Carolina, and another one is in Conway, South Carolina. So our ministry is non-denominational. I mean, life is full of challenges. We don't have to make people dance through hoops when they come to church. But we do tell them we love Jesus, we love the Lord, and we love our neighbors. And so I preach the gospel. We believe in the gifting of the Holy Spirit. I believe that we got to be born again. So we teach that. That's our main doctrine. You got to be born again. And so we're located at 718 West Avenue Y in San Angelo. Our services are at 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings. We have Bible study Wednesday nights at, I want to say 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Wednesday nights, boy, I'm forgetting my Bible study here. And then we have other events, and we fellowship with other churches. And we broadcast live on Facebook. And then I'm a broadcaster, so might as well use that for the church too.
That's right.
So we're on the Gospel America Television Network, and we're on Facebook. And we do several programs from the ministry. We have Counterpoint on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. We talk about issues in the news with a Christian perspective. We have our prayer line on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, where we pray for anybody. You know, because the Bible says we are to pray in the Spirit, making supplication for all saints.
Yes.
Not just people who go to your church,
Right.
but for the kingdom.
That's right.
So we pray for everybody.
Amen.
And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate the time you've given me this afternoon. Man, I mean, your story's even richer than I originally thought. But I'll tell you what, I want to say this is part 1. I want to come back another time, and because of your experience and your background, I would love to tap into your perspective on some things going on today based on that lineage of work and history and all that you have seen firsthand.
I'll give you a hint real quick, if you don't
Okay,
mind.
all right.
The current administration, the Biden administration, disastrous.
Amen.
I supported Donald Trump. I'm not ashamed to tell people I voted for Donald Trump. I did not vote for Biden. I am not a Republican or a Democrat, but I just vote for what I believe is the right thing for the country. And so, having had the experience to be in war, to travel around the world, and to see foreign policy by previous presidents put in place, to understand how the real world works when it comes to the security of our nation in relationship with other countries. I wish I had known when I was 20 years old what I know now.
Oh, don't we all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I look at the current administration, and by no means do I mean to demean the President of the United States. Not at all. I'm talking about issues, not personalities. We need to secure our border, our southern border between Mexico and the United States. President Trump had the right idea with the wall. He had the right idea with banning certain Muslims from Muslim nations coming to this nation unvetted. We have a legal immigration procedure in place, but we're just ignoring it.
Yeah.
And for the federal government to spend $62 million, Kat, not a year, a week. This is from the Office of Policy and Management.
Yeah.
$62 million a week to take care of migrant children coming over the border.
That's just the children. That's not even the parents and all of the benefits
No.
that they're
So it goes
getting.
beyond.
Oh yeah, it's way beyond that. Yeah.
So who's going to pay for that? You and I are.
Yeah.
And I say that, and I'm getting a little heated when I think about it. This president will bankrupt our nation
It's headed that way.
if we don't do something.
Yeah. Those funds could be used to help veterans and increase Social Security for those that actually worked and paid into the system all those years, and they get less than what we're giving to these illegals that are
The
coming
reason
in.
Social Security is so fragile is because of what's happening right now. There's a policy in place right now, you can check it out. Any immigrant comes into this country, 24 hours after they've been here, they can get medical assistance, they can get support in all kind of different ways, education, you name it. I go and apply for a college loan, and I go through the ringer. They put me through the ringer just to get my education.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I want to start a business, same thing.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So anyway, that's enough of that.
Yeah, we'll hit on that. I want to continue this conversation.
Okay.
There is much to be talked about, and especially in the climate today when we've got critical race theory
Yeah, all of that.
and all this racial stuff that is being regurgitated back up or created. Some of it's not even being regurgitated, it's been created. And there's a lot to talk about, and it has been a
I just call
pleasure.
it new nonsense.
Yeah, it has absolutely been a pleasure
Yes, ma'am.
gleaming this out of you, and I look forward to our next conversation as
Same
well.
here. Thank you so much, Kat, for this time that you spent to interview me, and I appreciate you and all that you've done in the community with the Christian Reporter News.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. God bless.
Okay.